Hey everyone, this is the first interview of our magical unicorn project. And so there's three different categories I'm actually focused in on for this project. They are leading ladies, go-givers, and magical men. And of the three categories, actually the go-givers is the toughest category because go-givers are people who have had to overcome a lot of adversity in their life, but they've gone out there and they've made a positive contribution in the world. And these are the type of people who don't put their hand up, they're not looking for praise, they're not looking for anybody to notice any of their good deeds, but they're out there. So even though they're hard to find, and they usually have to be pointed out, I do know of one myself, and that's Asiza. Asiza, your story is absolutely incredible. Like basically, you moved to Canada from Romania when you were 11 years old, and you were separated from your identical twin, but you didn't know about it because you were younger when you had been separated. So obviously that was a huge adjustment, and there was a lot for you to have to deal with and overcome, lots of adversity. So tell us a bit about that story.
Well, because I came at the age of 11, like you said, it was very difficult for me to adjust to a new life and a new continent. And, uh, and I think uh, it was so difficult to be able to interact with other children in my age group. And I think at the same time, my parents had a really difficult time adjusting to the life in Canada. So it was I felt all my life something was missing from my life, and I think when I came to Canada, I felt that thing more intense when I came here, and having my parents not being happy in Canada, I had suffered depression at a very early age. Actually, at 11, I tried to commit suicide at the age of 11 because it was just so hard for me to live here and see my parents being so unhappy and knowing something that was missing from my life, a connection that I left behind in Romania.
Right.
And but as a young child, when I was 6, my sister and I were separated when we were 4, actually. So when we were separated, shortly after, I started to draw, and I never understood why I drew only the female form. Only later in life I realized that was my way to keep the connection with my twin, and it was something that helped me through all these years, and that's why I kept drawing the female form, and uh, and I think that was my therapy. That's what kept me focused and dealt with my pain is through my art.
Yeah.
And when I like 4 years ago, after 47 years being separated, I went and surprised my sister in Romania, where she's living right now. And I tell you, it was the instant connection. I was so happy. I found a missing piece of my life.
Right.
And now that's why when I came out, because when I came out about 4 years ago because my parents didn't want nobody to know. So I came out with my story because I felt so much guilt because my sister always knew about me, but I didn't know about her. And I wanted, through my art, I want people to know who my sister is. I want her to feel so significant because all her life she didn't feel important. So that's why I paint. I paint to tell my story, and it's my way to also help me deal with my pain
Right.
of being separated. I think it's true what they say, the truth will set you free. So I feel more free now through myself expressing through my art.
Right. So your biological mom never kept you a secret from your sister. Your sister always knew you existed out there in the world, correct?
Yes, like I was separated from my whole family.
Right.
So my biological parents were always open with my sister about the truth. So my mom who adopted me, her youngest brother was my biological father.
Gotcha,
Yes.
gotcha, gotcha. And so they decided to immigrate to Canada, And that's when you ended up going with them over to Canada to basically start a new and supposedly much better life, right?
Yes. My father defected because of the communist system, that he couldn't see a future in Romania. So, you know, he was a wonderful father. He thought what was the best interest for the family by choosing to come to Canada for a better life, a better quality life for us.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So they gave up one of the twins in the hopes that that twin would have a better life in Canada than what she could have in Romania.
Exactly.
So it must have been a hard decision for your biological mother to make, separating twins. Like, that's not a small thing. How did she arrive at that decision and decide that that was the right thing to do?
Well, you know, there's an interesting story to that too. My biological mom did not want to separate the twins. My mom, who adopted, she convinced her to separate the twins because she said that both girls would have a better life. If there's two of them together, there's, you know, it would be more expensive. So that way, separating the twins would be much more economically, especially because we lived in a very poor part of Romania. So
right.
Yes.
Well, in theory, sure, but the reality
is that
much tougher.
My mother, my biological mom, she regrets it every moment that she made that decision.
Yeah.
So she cries every time. She wished she never separated us.
Oh, wow. Hey?
Yes.
So in terms of emotional glass ceilings, what kind of emotional glass ceilings were you struggling with? I would imagine there's just so many things. Like, I can imagine moving to a new country and not speaking the language and feeling lost and insecure and scared and lots of things that could have perhaps maybe not be able to reach my full potential. So tell me a little bit about what you were experiencing.
Well, I think after, when I came to Canada, I didn't feel happy. I felt there was something missing, and seeing my parents not happy, and as time progressed, I always felt depression. I felt guilt. I felt depressed. I didn't feel happy growing up in Canada. And I think after I found out the truth about my adoption, it wasn't so much that I got adopted, it's that I was separated from a twin, and how much I had the better life in so many ways. I had the houses, the trips, and she lived a harsher life than I did. And so and even now in this moment, I feel a lot of guilt and very depressed. I'm gonna cry. So.
Oh, it's okay. No, it's...
And so I'm dealing with a lot of that pain.
Sure.
But for some time now, but I feel like, how do you feel good? It's also, I've also created art for so many years, and I want to use my talent to help with giving back to the community. So I've loved to paint live at different local events in Vancouver, where the paintings will be donated for great causes to help those organizations, to help the people who need the help.
Right. So that guilt, do you think that guilt prevented you somewhere from maybe going out there and reaching your full potential? Like, do you feel guilty to go out there and be super successful in life because somewhere you feel your twin didn't get that same opportunity?
Very much so.
Yeah. I can see that.
With everything, actually.
Yeah.
I feel a lot of guilt because I feel like I would want her to be by my side, to be part of that success, like to go forward and think big and dream big, and not and feel like you deserve it because you worked so hard for so many years at your skill. But part of me keeps me back because I feel like I don't deserve it, because she should be here with me.
I understand that.
Through the process.
For sure. So your sister's such a big part of your artwork, your inspiration, where it comes from. How does she feel when she sees you out there having your art shows and doing all the great stuff that you do in the world, knowing that she's actually a really big piece of it?
Yes, like every time I do an event, like a painting event, I always say it's for my sister.
Yeah.
This is I paint
like a tribute
to my sister. It's because of her I am able to create, So for me, she's always been on by my side. I'm just now creating awareness of who she is.
Right.
It's not about me, it's about her.
And you know what's really interesting too is a lot of artists, like they call them tortured artists, right? Like I think there's a lot of beautiful things that can be created through pain somewhere. Like if you didn't have this pain to grow through, would you be able to create these works of art?
I think when you have these inner challenges, it makes you stronger.
Absolutely.
So I believe that don't dwell on your weaknesses, dwell on your strengths, where empower yourself, even though at the moment you feel those struggles are
Suffocating. Yeah.
but make you kind of creating a makes you slow down in life. Like it actually should empower you and move forward and go and just believe in yourself. And I think for me, like I come into my studio and I paint, and there's moments I feel happy, especially when I'm doing my portraits of musicians, because I love listening to their music while I'm painting. But when I paint for my sister, it's painful, because in that moment I have to take myself back for all the years of memories of crying and sadness, and but that sometimes creates a beautiful painting itself, because I'm putting my mark on it, my struggles, my happiness, and that's what makes a good painting.
Yeah,
the story behind the painting.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And you've actually donated a number of your paintings to all different kinds of causes and charities and everything. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I donated to, let's say I donated painting to get auctioned off for BC Cancer, because that painting was my mother, my biological mom, was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I wanted, that painting was not just for my mother, but was all for all the women who struggle with breast cancer.
Yeah.
And another one I did for the homeless, where my father, I had moments in my life where I struggled financially, where in 9/11 was in Vancouver, all over the world. 2001.
Yeah.
That was not a very pleasant time, where we were financially struggling. And I want to give back to those people who need a shelter, need food, they need medical care. Another one, it was for the Gala of Grace. I donated a painting for women in North Vancouver who suffer from abuse. I think every woman has gone through abuse from some part in their life. And I think when you give back to others, you feel like you make the place of a world better place. I think
positive contribution.
And children of the streets, there's so many kids out there on the streets who come from abused homes. They have no place to go, and I contributed a few of my paintings to their organization. And it's all about giving back. I think we all we feel better in our hearts when it's better to give than to receive, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I totally agree. You must feel so happy, right? Like it must give you some sort of peace somewhere too.
It does, because I've always been a giving person, but now I find that now I can do more. Like I think, and with a piece of art, somebody's gonna buy that piece where they feel like they've helped with a great cause.
Absolutely.
So that makes them feel good. Whoever buys that piece, whoever bought those pieces of art, they feel good. They know that this is for a good cause. And how it's like, it's kind of giving back. Like you help other people give back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just me.
Yeah.
So it feels wonderful. Like and I'm still gonna do that. Like it's something that's part of me. Like I love giving back to people, make people happy. I think that's what makes me happy, making people happy.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Asiza, for sharing your story today and being a magical unicorn go-giver.